What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So I did a little social experiment, and it's a social experiment that I want to invite all of you here within the community to go ahead and carry out. Now, there are a few things you need. You need somebody who is not really following a lot of the news around the superhero games and the superhero genre, but actually like superhero games. Now, this is going to be probably very difficult for you to find, but maybe you have friends that are also gamers who may not necessarily be into superhero games, but share your like-mindedness in gaming. Perhaps they like single-player games and they're not really so cool with live service games. I implore you that in order for you to conduct this experiment, that you show them the forbidden picture of the Battle Pass menu screen for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, when you do so, let me know their reaction if you ever, are able to tell me, or you could just keep the reaction to yourself and ponder upon it. I did this experiment with two friends of mine. They are huge, fans of the superhero genre overall anyways. I don't really know what superheroes they're really into per se. One of them I know is a huge Spider-Man fan, but he also engages in all the other superheroes. So for sure, I can say, yeah, he's a Spider-Man fan, but he's really a huge collector of a lot of comics and appreciates a lot of the work. And the other, I'm not really certain as to, how his own, allegiances lie. So what I did was I showed them this picture because I have this picture in my phone and I wanted to see how they would respond to the picture. So I took it and I said, hey guys, have you guys seen the picture or the image I leaked for Suicide Squad? They said no. And I showed them one side of the menu and then I zoomed into where it said Battle Pass and store and currency. And believe it or not, both their reactions included saying no multiple times. No. And even one of my friends asked and said, who is this? And I said, it's Rocksteady. And he was quite surprised that this is something that's going to be in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, those of us here in the community, we have a different frame of mind towards all of this. Many of us, as much as we jest, as much as we laugh about all of this, it's interesting to see that within this community, within this, I would say, little bubble in a sense. And I'm not calling it a bubble as in a bad thing. I'm just saying we follow the news, we watch the videos, we watch each other's videos, we tweet, and we like and follow and read each other's tweets. It's very different for us because we've gotten to see a lot in the gaming industry. Some of us have been following a lot of this news surrounding Rocksteady for at least 5 years, half a decade. You've been following or more. So at this stage and at this point in time, you already have a different level of patience or a different level of, I would say, pain tolerance than everybody out there who's probably not following the stuff. I mean, imagine the 2018 tweet from, Stephen Hill when he said, that Rocksteady was going to be going to the Video Game Awards and, well, they're going to be ready to show us whatever the project they're working on. But, spoiler alert, it's not Superman. Remember when he said that? So it's very interesting to come back and say, man, they weren't making a Superman game, because you have that history. So you've already dealt with maybe that kind of disappointment. And now when you see a game like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, you're like, I'll give it a try. I'll give it an open mind. I'll look at what is going on. But here's the thing. Is the broader audience going to be as amicable to this project when it eventually comes out? Now, keep in mind that these, friends of mine, it doesn't mean they're not going to play it. In fact, I think they're the more open-minded gamers. I think they're going to play it, but initially there's nothing that was any more exciting for them to be looking forward to once they saw this picture. And, you could probably maybe say, oh, you ruined it for them or whatever. But hey, this is the one thing that everybody got to see because there was curiosity, around this project. So I think everybody will be in a better position anyways to realize or understand exactly what it is that they're getting into. Because if you remember, if you talk about this, line of thinking and you mention, say, maybe a game like Gotham Knights, a lot of folk kept saying things like, oh, Gotham Knights did not necessarily reveal to people that it was going to be this kind of game or that kind of game. When in reality, Gotham Knights literally advertised itself as exactly the kind of game it was going to be. There were a lot of gameplay showcases. There were a lot of different areas and aspects of the game that was, talked about, that was showcased. You had the San Diego Comic-Con, which the developers, the voice actors, the narrative directors, and so on and so forth were able to talk about different aspects of the game. You had the producer, Jeff Eleanor, also be able to get, a lot of information out there regarding aspects of the game. And so that was actually something really big. And so maybe anybody who wasn't paying attention, those of us who are, in the bubble probably were. And then, for those that were outside not really paying as much attention as possible, they came in thinking that Gotham Knights was probably going to be Batman Arkham, when in reality it wasn't designed, nor was it supposed to be a game like that. So the perception kind of went out there. Even in the reviews, even in the way the game was covered, even in the, reception, Arkham kept coming up in the conversation with Gotham Knights and, any other Batman game. Even though the game tried to distance itself, the fact that a lot of people were not really aware or were not informed as to exactly the nature of the game, I think that really caused a huge ruckus. So I would not like for that to happen again. In fact, I would love for everybody to be very aware of what Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is bringing to the table, because I strongly believe that this is going to inform people and let them know exactly what it is that they should expect, so that come May, if the game is coming out in May, I'm not going to be hearing anybody crying and whining to me that Rocksteady should be ashamed of them. So I saw somebody tweeting about Warner Brothers Montreal today and saying, Warner Brothers Montreal needs to go look at, Avalanche and learn how to make a video game. And I'm like, well, Avalanche didn't get like 3 of their video games canceled. I mean, so just different studios, different circumstances, and so on and so forth. And, they weren't in a position where they had to make a monetizable co-op game, and they weren't in a position where they had to actually do it in a way that Warner was going to save on servers. So just different circumstances overall, but seems like people don't necessarily care. And a lot of gamers ought to kind of learn how to talk too, when you're talking on the internet, because there are people that work on these projects that do their best to do their jobs. So you can't be armchair developing at every single point in time. There's a limit to that. And if you really think, these studios don't do a good job, and I say this all the time, go make your own game. I've said this to content creators. I've said this to people in the community, and sometimes it unnerves people, but I think somebody's got to say it. And I'm probably maybe one of those unnerving type folk, I guess, but I don't mean to. I just mean to call out what it is that I see that's probably not there. But back to our experiment, and back to you in regard to how you might be able to maybe talk to people, or, just inquire around from people who are within your friend circle, who are not really in the whole internet, Twitter, up to date type, persons, and see how they respond to this picture. It'll be interesting nonetheless. I'll get out of your hair. Thank you so much for your time and audience, and I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.